this guy.
What's up?
The man, the myth, the 11. Yeah, back in his hometown, the real hometown, not ATL. I'm in Algiers, Louisiana, testing out the new Rx100 Mark VI. This guy. And this is my A5100. I'm also going to be testing. Also, my friend Andrew Bowie, Instagram handle right here at the bottom. He's brought his A6300, which is very similar to the A6500. And he's also bought his A7 III and his Rx100 Mark V, I believe. So he's brought those with him too, so we can like completely see how good this Zeiss built-in lens is versus the cheapo lens that you see on these cameras that come with them, the A5100 and A6300, as well as see the zoom ability as we zoom across the Mississippi River and check out how good it is versus like a proper 70 to 200 on an A7 III. So just wait for Andrew to come from parking his car. We're gonna get this shit started. Maybe just set up right here, maybe. So as we zoom in, because as I zoom in, we get a little like foreground action too, you know. Me and Andrew just got kicked out of the old Algiers Point ferry terminal here because it's owned by RTA, and the security officer who first approached us wanted to take my tripod, and then was like, no, pay me some money. Said, no, y'all can't come here because this is private property, and all we're gonna do is stand out on the balcony, so in case it rains, we don't get soaked, and do some camera tests. We gotta go find somewhere else in case it rains. So thank you, RTA, thank you, New Orleans, for screwing over the local poor artists. Right after that, it started pouring down rain, so we huddled underneath the awning here and decided to play around by taking pictures of our rig. We set all the cameras up and hit record and just put them on this widest setting to point across the river. I didn't mess with any of the colors. All I did is make sure the exposure was balanced on each one, so you could see at least some of the details and the sharpness of the image.
And then can you get one last wide?
We done. Gotta get that food on. I could really use a pillow, huh? Now that's the image test. So so to speak, part of the review. As for usability of this camera, I took it to school on Wednesday and vlogged with it, so my vlog for that week is going to be mixed of this camera and this camera. One of the things that really bothered me about this camera is its flip-up screen. Now, yes, it can, go this way, it can, flip out, look how far, woo! But when you go up like this, there is a problem. Can anybody right off the bat tell? In 16:9 mode, if I start recording, yay, I can record. Does anybody notice anything? I have no idea what my exposure is. Now if I do this, that's my exposure, but I can't see it at the bottom. Like, the data isn't there. So I don't know if I'm slightly overexposing or underexposing. I don't know what my aperture is. I have no idea if I accidentally changed the shutter, because that can actually happen. Like right now, I'm changing the shutter. I have no idea to what, but that's a thing I can accidentally do. That's because this whole bottom area right here gets covered up when it's like this. Now, this doesn't happen in the 5100. I do have those little pieces in the way, those wind muffs, but I can see if I am over or underexposed. See how it says that plus 1.7 or the f3.5? I can see those. I can know if I'm overexposed. When this is in like selfie mode, I cannot know what is going on. It's very frustrating. Predecessor, the Mark IV and the Mark V, are both 1.8 to 2.4, 2.8 lenses. Granted, the only 24-70 was 1.8 to 2.8, so you could get shallower depth of field. You do way better in low light, considering a smaller 1-inch sensor. So this big thing about this one was, it's, the huge zoom, but is it really necessary? I don't think it is. I mean, you have you can shoot UHD 4K, and this can only do 1080. So if you were to push it beyond, the 70mm equivalent, you could do a little cropping in to get a little bit extra information, and add a little maybe sharpening. May not be the best image, but you can still do better in low light when you go out at night with your friends and you're like in a city, because this is predominantly for like the tourist almost, not so much maybe the vlogger too, but it's not so much designed for the everyday filmmaker, which is odd because this camera is $1,200 new, when the A6500, which is the newer version of this, is the same price. This can have interchangeable lenses. This can have, the A6500 can have a mic port. There's so many more you could do with the A series 6500, 6300 that you can't do with this. Now granted, when I turn this one off, it's very slim and I can easily put it in my pocket. This guy, when I turn it off, I can put it in my pocket, but that lens is still pretty thick and it's bulges and it's very hard to get in and out of my pocket. But also, this is a Zeiss lens, so supposedly it's better than this cheapo Sony lens I have on here. But my biggest grief that because this, whole not being able to see the f-stop, I could eventually get over that kind of thing. My biggest thing was the ISO range. So when you go to the ISO, and I have it on auto, you scroll down, I don't know if you can tell, but there's an 80 right there. Can't select it. Then there's 100, can't select it. 125, can't select it. 160, can't select it. 200. 200 is the lowest ISO I can select, which might not be a big deal to some of you guys, but it kind of is to me, because here's another issue. This only goes to an f11. So at ISO 200 and f-stop 11, if you're recording 24 frames per second, you're going to put it at 150 shutter speed. In direct sunlight, you can't see anything. Everything starts to get overexposed. It's pointless. The only way to get those extra extra ISO, is to put it in full auto. So another thing that's different between this Rx100 Mark VI and the Mark V is the Mark V had built-in ND filters, which is why when we shot the the test footage, the shutter had to be higher than a normal 1/50. Yeah, so having no ND filter on a camera that can only go to 11 stops of aperture kind of blows if you're gonna film video outside. I mean, if you take it stills, you can just crank the shutter speed up, no big deal. But during the daytime, video, not gonna look very good. That seems like a really big mess up on Sony. Now, something I do like, they have this little feature. When you're shooting in your certain picture profile, you can have an assistant off, and it'll show you what you're recording. This will kind of like gamma display assistant. It's kind of like auto LUT, and then it has the different ones for the different S-logs and all that stuff. That is kind of cool, I will admit. The mount point. So this right here, yeah, this should be center. That's why it's offset. But the problem is when you put like this plate on here, or this one's little round ones like this. The problem is when you do that, you can't get to the battery. More importantly, you can't get to the SD card, which is right there. So if you want to transfer footage, XAVC footage, which cannot transfer to a phone via the app, only pictures can, or in certain video files. So if you want that video, you have to hook up it via USB, which can be a pain in the butt because then that means you have to have a cord constantly plugged into your computer. But if you're like me, or most people who have like laptops or desktop computers with the little card slot already built in, all you want to do is pop that open, pop a card in, be done with it, and then take another card, put this in, and go on about that way with the camera. But you can't, because you would have to sit first and take off the plate. It's a pain in the neck, pain in the butt. Oh, there is one more. There's another thing I forgot. Is like, so the reason I'm been shooting in manual mode instead of movie mode. When I'm in movie mode, I programmed the center button to be the monitor. You cannot adjust the monitor's brightness in movie mode. But if I go to manual exposure, where I can record XAVC video, like I'm doing right now, I can adjust the monitor brightness. I can do it. See? I can do it. It's crazy. Doesn't make any sense. For the budget and the money, I don't see why you would buy this RX. I mean, other than the point and shoot ability being real compact. I don't know. There's one test I have not done yet, and the reason why I would buy a point and shoot, pure and simple, and that is for this reason. Going to the movies, and I'm not bringing it to like record a movie. That's dumb. This thing would overheat and, you know, stop recording anyway. I'm bringing it in for the talkers. That's right. It's time to shame those motherfuckers who talk in the movies and pull their cell phones out.
You're an asshole.
You're an asshole.
The bottom line of this is that for $1,200, I don't think this is worth it. I bought this camera for $450, I think, a couple years ago. I looked online. A used one is now like $350. Granted, this only shoots 1080. This can shoot UHD 3840. But for $1,200, I do not think this is anywhere near worth the money. It's just so expensive for what it is. I mean, if I had complete ISO range, if I could see the images, you know, if it was 2.8 all the way through its zoom, you know, and there's a lot of other things in the menu system, because I don't know how to put this, like, this camera has a lot of auto features, like for people who don't know how to use cameras. This one has like that times like a million. So navigating all the auto features to help people who don't know how to use cameras and all that other stuff was so daunting, getting through all the bullshit. The bloatware, like, cause all I need is manual mode. I might use shutter priority. I mean, the only other thing I might use is shutter power or manual mode. And of course, slow motion. So that's my review. That's the bottom line.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.